town of Upton. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. Very much appreciated. We're going to have a presentation by CHA, which is the town's consulting engineers. We're going to talk about proposed streetscape, lighting, and improvements to the common here in the town center. Part of the reason, obviously, for this work tonight, presentation for it, is because of the proposed tip that's coming through town through the DOT. And after reviewing those plans, it was noted that there's a lot of asphalt, a lot of concrete on either side of 140, especially in this area, the town center. And so, it's actually a recommendation from the town manager as to how can we soften really what we the final product, not be left with just a lot of sidewalk. Sidewalk's important, obviously, but how can we make the town center look more attractive? But this is how we would do that, is looking for some of these streetscape improvements, lighting, and things like that we're going to talk about tonight. So we're going to have a presentation from CHA, so they'll introduce themselves in just a second. And then, so we'll have a presentation. If anybody's online after the presentation that wants to provide some comment, that'd be great. And then we'll kind of open it up for just general discussion as we work through the plans. Sound like a plan? All right, great.
Hey, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it. So, my name's Nick Schwartz. I'm the project manager and principal landscape architect for CHA. I brought with me...
Hi, I'm Rebecca Letterer.
A landscape architect and
Sam Montrose, landscape design.
So what we're going to do, we're going to go through kind of a presentation. It's going to take about 20 minutes. After that, we're going to break up, and you can see there's kind of 3 stations. Please feel free. Each of us will be manning one of those stations and want your feedback. So both on the presentation and on the boards that we've got up. I know that the TIP project can be very controversial. However, we're really not here to discuss that. We're here to get everybody's thoughts and vision on how to really create the Upton Town Center. From a materiality standpoint, from a function standpoint in the commons, from street tree choices to amenity choices. So, as you'll see, we're going to go through this and provide you some opportunities, some precedent images, and some suggestions. But this is your project, and we want to make sure that the Upton Town Center, the Commons area, the streetscape that was envisioned 3 or 4 years ago really comes to fruition in a meaningful way that really represents the community as a whole. So as we're going through this, Sam's going to take you on the first go through the existing conditions. I mean, everybody is here. You probably know what's there, but it's just good to take a fresh set of eyes at it. Rebecca's going to go through the streetscape elements, the street trees, and then I'm going to finish up with discussions about the commons. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sam. Sam's going to start talking about the existing conditions.
Sure, thanks, Nick. So I'm going to help build a deal for the town.
Nice and loud for the old people here, please.
Yeah, thank you. So to bring around what builds up the town center, we've got a few different community hubs, like the 2 churches, the community center, the Winston building, along with some commercial elements such as the Upton Pizza House and the Pedal and Crumb shop fronts, and of course the town hall we stand now. They kind of surrounds the town center and provide an idea of why people might come to Upton.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Could you stand here or push that closer so I can't hear you, or I can hear you, but I can't make out what you're saying. If you could stand up closer to us, I think that might
Sure.
help.
Yeah.
Yep, I would think so.
Maybe just
We know where
It's a big room.
Yeah.
We come forward, look this way.
So to focus into the commons itself, there are some elements that make up the center. We've got a few war memorials, which range from the Civil War to Vietnam, and a restored fountain that we like to keep and build upon in our future discussions. Just to define where the town center is, we've marked the limits out here where potential street trees and lighting will go in, and of course, we'll discuss the future of the Upton Commons. For vehicular traffic, we obviously know it kind of it's split by two main corridors. We've got Route 140, kind of cutting east to west, and North Main, and Bruce Street the other way, pulling people into the town center. More importantly, to look at the pedestrian traffic kind of surrounding the site and walking around the commons. We want to build upon this and strengthen the corridors we have here to provide more spaces and circulation. Along with the crosswalks, we have seen some informal usage of crossing the roads, which provides us an opportunity and it shows a desire for maybe a redesign of these crosswalks. Mind if we have questions at the end?
Okay now, or
Huh?
the question's okay now?
I think we'll wait till the end.
Yeah, we can wait till the end, and we'll be better equipped to answer the questions that you have, because maybe some of the questions that you have will be answered a little bit later on in the presentation.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to pass it on to
You guys
Rebecca.
mind if I just make that thing a little smaller so we can minimize this? There we go. So it's not blocking the view. All right. So this is an overlay of the aerial of our area with some of the drawings as they have most recently been received of the layout of the street and the roundabout, just so we have a sense of where things are going. We don't know what the final will be, but this is what we anticipate to be building off of. And you see that Grove Street is going to be realigned and pulled this way. So this green space here will get a little bit bigger at the south side of the roundabout. And then, everything will just be pulled a little bit differently. They've marked out some crosswalks. Like Sam said, we think that maybe there needs to be a little bit more consideration of how people safely move across 140 and just be mindful. Like, we watched a bunch of kids just like racing across the street and, have to make sure that this is as safe as it can be. You'll see also they made some bump outs for the sidewalk so that when you park, it's very clearly marked as separate from the sidewalk. So then the common is still about where it is. And we're trying to think about how does this whole space, become more active as clearly marked as a town center. Is this the one? Side to side? It's broken. There we go. All right, so first off, this is a small inventory of some of the big trees around the area. We've marked green are trees that we think are in pretty good shape. And the blue color is for ones that are on private parcels but are still relevant for the streetscape, so something that should still be considered even if they're owned by others. Red and yellow are referring to trees that are struggling a bit more, and certainly all of this will be reviewed with your town warden, your tree warden, and developed more from there. But we just wanted to take a first pass at looking at the existing trees and how they're doing right now, just in the current state of things. Now here we have a mix of existing and proposed trees. And you'll see in the light green a lot of existing trees that we would recommend keeping just based on what we know right now. The darker green reflects trees might get replaced because of anticipations of shifts of the road and the sidewalk and street work, and then just the changes to the green space itself. Someone's being loud. Okay. Great. Okay, so you'll also see on this drawing that there are red, green, and yellow dots marking different lampposts. And these are all proposed new lampposts. Now, the color reflects the height of the light and also the style of the light.
I'm sorry, could you repeat what the red is, please?
Sure. The red are the 12-foot light poles. The green are 20-foot, and the yellow are 30-foot. Now, the yellow ones you can see are around the roundabout. That's for safety and DOT purposes. So those are going to be your taller lights that help make the roundabout very clear. And the red and the green are going to be of the same style but different heights because of power limits. So at a previous select board meeting, there was a discussion about preferred lamp styles. And this is what has been settled on as the recommended style. You'll see that it's got sort of a more traditional feel, which you want in kind of the aesthetic of this community. It ties into the lights just outside this building. It's a little different than what you see at the community center, which we feel like maybe has mixed reviews and is a little bit more contemporary. So the town, the select board, wants to do this instead, and also a nice feature is, while it looks, sort of more traditional, it has dark sky features. It's like the new modern lights, so it's meant to be very thoughtful environmentally and with the right lamp style that can be used. So here is a mix of street trees that were recommended. Certainly there can be other options, but these are some recommendations that we know would be successful in this area, hardy for a street, and hardy for this area of Massachusetts. We've got these beautiful zelkovas, sugar maples, and red maples, all taller trees that have seasonal interest, you can see. And then we have, as an understory tree, an example is the dogwood. So there's other options, certainly. This doesn't have to be exclusive, but this is the aesthetic that we would propose for these new areas of trees. This photo was taken on a site visit when it was snowing a few months ago, but similarly for the benches, you see that they're back in the commons as well, a slightly different brand, but similar aesthetic, this more traditional iron frame with a wood bench. So we believe we would just, repurpose this aesthetic, and it ties in with the lampposts as well. Oh, and then we move on to the commons. So I'm going to hand it off to Nick, and we're going to talk about visions for the future of the commons based on that sort of start. Great.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I really appreciate it. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. So what we've got is these are precedent images, or images that we thought might be helpful in shaping how the commons may look. And they're here for a number of different reasons. So the first one is actually Public Square. It's up in Watertown, New York. You may say, wow, what does that have to do with all the way over here in Massachusetts? Well, the interesting thing about this is you can see there's a number of different monuments that are on axis. You've got the fountain, you've got the Civil War Memorial, you've got the Veterans Memorial, and then further on down you've got a gazebo. Now, you may not have all of those elements in the current Commons Master Plan, but you do have a lot of existing monuments that are generally on axis. So, and that's something that we want to talk about. Are those locations for those memorials set in stone? Or can we think about how we may be able to reorganize those monuments and memorials in a meaningful way to have people interact with them on a more regular basis? Okay, so that's just one thought nugget that we've talked about internally that we want people's opinions on. The second town, Green in Connecticut and Guilford, they're really very similar. They're it's open. It's a very known kind of green where it's just open and that's it. There's a lot of different programming that can go on in each of these green spaces. So that's the other thing that we want to get people's input on. What kind of programming do you think you want to see that you don't already see in the Commons area itself? actually. And then, you know, part of the interesting thing about the Commons is that I think about half of them that I've been to, all over New England, don't have any type of border element to them. They'll basically have a sidewalk on the edge, and there'll be trees on the edge, and it'll be very open, very pastoral. I mean, that was the whole point of the green to begin with. You know, a community green space for grazing. So, but over time, you know, the other half has had some level of border identification, whether it's, you know, as you can see here on Ballardville Green, up over near Andover, you know, you've got, you know, the granite and the chain, or, you know, you've got double chain, or, you know, even to the end where you've got, you know, different levels of split rail fencing, you know, or you can go down to Grafton on their green, where they've got, you know, the stone pillars with the double 4x4s, but they're set on an angle, so they look more diamond shaped. So these are things that we want people's input. I mean, you know, how do you feel about it? You know, having it open or unopened in terms of the border. So when we start to take a look at those are some things that we really, really, really want, I wouldn't say need, your input on. The other thing is when we start to take a look at the Commons Master Plan, it becomes an opportunity to envision the space maybe a little different. So, and in this one, you know, we've kind of got, you know, the existing area that we have the Civil War Monument and the World War I Monument. Maybe those stay where they are, but you move in the World War II Monument along with, you know, it's the World War II, the Korea and Vietnam Memorial. Maybe that moves from the back of the site and moves up into this Memorial Plaza. You know, maybe this gets a little more pavement. Maybe it gets a little more seating in a meaningful way. Again, so that way you can interact with the monuments on a regular basis.
Can you just actually show us where the roundabout is in the road?
Roundabout is down here. In the next two areas, it's going to be on the bottom of the page left. So, but then, you know, up here, that can be more of an open green area. Okay? So that's one idea we came up with that we'd like your input on. Okay? The second is kind of flip-flop, where you move the two memorials that are down here into a large memorial plaza in the back, and then you have a green corridor within the western part of the commons areas. So, and again, this comes down to, you know, larger choices of organization that we want people's thoughts, ideas on. So, you know, to do that, we've kind of got, you can see there's a couple stations that are broken up. What we want to do is have you come over and talk to us about your ideas. We've got sticky pads and we're happy to write things down, post them right on, so that way everybody can see them. Okay? So I think with that, we are going to be taken care of. Like I think we were hoping to get to people on the Teams call to see what questions they may have, because I know we may be running a little bit short. We need to use this for the.
Yeah, I forgot to mention earlier, so I just need to get this will just go away. But as soon as we're done with it, or at 7:15, whichever's first, because Conservation Commission is meeting at 7:30. But we will still, there's conversation still happening, obviously, but we'll stick in here and continue that conversation. So at this point, in order to accommodate if anybody is on the team committee who may have questions, is there anybody on the team meeting who has any questions at this time? David?
No, I don't. One of the buttons in this new version.
We got a few more minutes, so we'll keep you there. And then, yeah, if any questions at any time, I'll monitor the screen here. Or just make yourself heard, unmute yourself, and go ahead and ask. Okay?
Awesome. Well, yes, sir.
I have 2 quick questions.
Could you speak up a little? I can't.
Yes, I will. Touche, my friend. Thank you. I wish you were talking to me before. 2 very quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Will the lights, regardless of the size, will they be rampable? So that, because I would assume if you're getting new lights, probably LEDs or something,
Yes.
that the town would have the ability to, either increase it or lower it if it's too bright. Since I live right around the corner, I really, that light was bother me.
Absolutely. I think that's the one thing that we'll take down. We have been working with the Michael Baker, who is the design engineer with DOT, to get some of these concerns over to them so they can provide the right lamp, wattage, and type of light. So, the nice thing about these lights, they are sharp cutoffs, right? So you don't have a lot of light that's going to spill out. It gets shown down, and it is very similar in terms of the light dispersal that you'll see over at the community center. In terms of how that light just comes right down, there's no light that goes up out of the luminaire at the top.
And just if I could add on, sort of thinking about the front of, and by the way, Joe Layton, town manager, if you think about the front of this building, the lights that are on the stairs, goes out in every single direction. These, the select board, along with the historical commission, were really intent on making sure that the light shown was directed downward. So that fixture that Nick was talking about, it's up in the housing, so it goes down and it's really focused. If someone has driven through Millbury Center, they recently did a streetscape, and those luminaires, the light source really radiates out. It may have a cap on the front, on the top, that prevents it from going upward, but it does shine out. So the concern you raised was something that the select board cared very much about, make sure that it really focused it downward.
Is that even on the 30-foot high?
Yes.
And the other question I have is, first of all, thank you. It was very clear tonight. I love what I'm seeing. But maybe folks on Warren Street here, is it going to look a little bit better, or are we going to have use all of the barriers that are there that are taken away and sort of, it's nice to have green all down here, but then when you look up the street, you're going to have all these barriers.
That was going to be my question. I live at the top of the hill on Walnut Street, and it's just deteriorating rapidly with no barriers. And I was wondering if that's incorporated into it's not the same urban feeding into the roadway necessarily, but the parking lot from the town hall on that side will be feeding in, and depending on the rate of the park thing over there.
So I can
I was going to defer to Joe anyway.
So this has been something that's been very important for the select board, and over the last year and a half, 2 years, working with the Parklet, EDC, and Michael, as well as Dennis Westgate, our DPW director, we've developed reconfiguration plans for the parking lot. We also got town meeting funding to redo some of that work, and we're actually going to start literally in a couple weeks laying out wattles, and what we're going to be doing is basically saw cutting pavement along Warren at the top of the hill, allowing some access for the resident who lives right there to their backyard, and then removing pavement so that it's going to end. And while we jokingly at select board meetings, and Laura can probably attest to this, joking with Brett, who detests them, that we should paint them like cow-colored pattern and all that. The intent is that by the time we get to June 30th, those are gone, in that we've reconfigured the parking lot, expanded it on the brook side. We've already gone in front of conservation. That will allow us to basically take the parallel parking that's up against the building, expand it so it's pull-in parking, and basically we'll get about 7 additional parking spaces, and that's going to happen in the next 3 months.
There's been talk about the select board about throwing a party because the ugly yellow barriers will be gone.
I will attend that party.
It's going to be beautiful.
Like, I noticed, like, living up at the top of the hill, is that, you know, the breweries down here, there's businesses, a lot of people from the neighborhoods on the other side are walking down that too. And I think it's important to incorporate some kind of like a, if it's not blocked off totally,
Some sort of pedestrian, yep. Exactly.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My question, at one of the TIP meetings, I remember the discussion of the pond itself. And on here, what you've got almost looks like it's configured today. But I thought I understood they were going to be cutting into the pond a little bit about what a Civil War monument is, which I just wanted to say too, about the Civil War monument. Right now, and I don't know about after this has changed, but the shrubs on either side of that block the view coming out on 140, or for people coming, it's hard to see. So those should be removed, whatever happens. But are they going to put the pond back?
I think a little bit, but not much. I mean, it's very minimal. And at least you can kind of see with the overlay what that may look like right now. Everything's ortho rectified on it, so it's not off skew. So you can certainly take a look to see what that looks like. You know, from what we were seeing, they didn't want to cut into the commons at all, and they modified and moved things with the location of the roundabout to be very protective of the common system, at least where they are in the design process.
I think also what's exciting about this reconfiguration is that you add a little bit of green space on the south side of the roundabout. So while it's not the commons itself, it's another space that could be utilized in some way that could be useful to the town. And it's worth sort of thinking of it comprehensively, like what can be done, not just to the commons to make it the space you want it to be, but to this entire area.
Where's the south side? Is that?
That's-
the back?
You look,
They're talking about in front of us.
just because we're getting a little bit more space right
I
here.
don't understand. Thank you.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask, you touched about it briefly, the parcel here that was supposed to be a park at some point in that project. Will that be a separate project or part of this project?
Yes.
Because since we have these great minds, landscape, architecture, it's nice to tie it all in together and be consistent.
Yeah, Mike will probably give an update just as far as the park that where that project is.
It's definitely a separate project, but it'll, once all is said and done, it'll all work together for sure. I mean, it's for reference, town hall is here, parking lots here. Parklet you're talking about really exists within this wooded area across the street. This is Church Street, right? This is the scope that we're looking at tonight. But yeah, together but
Which
separate.
project comes first, that parklet or this one?
Funding will decide. So yeah, we need to figure out funding. So the parklet's designed currently. We don't have funding for construction.
Yes, sir.
Couple questions, answering the question. That's shoebox lighting that you're looking at. They call it shoebox lighting that goes straight down versus vertical lighting. Number one, was there a sign-in sheet today? Because what I'd like to see a sign-in sheet so we can put our emails on it. So if you have another meeting and we miss it, that it gets emailed out to us. The other thing is Upton Center has a significant amount of snow through here. It's going to be wider. There's going to be a lot of snow going on the sidewalks. So anything that's designed on the 140 side should be 4 to 5 feet back off the sidewalk. Otherwise, it's going to get damaged. The other side of the road's fine, but on this side, it'll be significant amount of snow that just gets put up there.
Yeah, great point, thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me.
What's the current update?
What's the current update get a date on the TIP project.
For completion, to start, we don't, they're supposed to start, well, we're not even at 75% design yet, so I honestly don't even want to give you a date.
Well, no,
Yeah.
you're going to lose another year.
Yeah, so
I mean, the finished date is nothing, but we haven't got a start.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically, my interest would be, we're 1 to 2 years out still on the, so these other projects, if financing comes through, possibly will go through.
Yeah,
I
so,
mean, just like the parking lot over here, that one comes up.
yeah,
The only thing I see is you gotta kind of pay attention to that hill, because that's the sewer for all this upper hill. So you're gonna still need access to the water and sewer on that street.
right, yeah. Water and sewer's not being impacted by what we're talking about tonight.
As long as you don't drop the road, you're correct.
Yes.
And access to it, that's,
But you're exactly right. I mean, 1 to 2 years out, because again, we're not even at 75% design with DOT right now.
Yes, sir.
I had a question related to the monument thing, because I couldn't quite hear what you were saying there. But one thing I noticed about the current monuments setting is it's a blind spot when you're coming down North Main Street and looking to try and cross over or do any of that stuff. I would say, be cognizant of when you put this rotary design in place, that there's no, kind of trees or shrubs or
Yeah, you
or
got a clear line of
monuments.
sight coming in. It's
In
going to
a
be
way.
really important too when you're coming
Yeah.
in to have a clear line of sight to your left, given the fact the way the roundabout works.
Yeah, because I think there are a lot of accidents down there because of where that monument is.
Yep.
Yes, that's why we're getting the roundabout supposedly because it's so hazardous. This is Upton's Kelly Square redesign. Those were air quotes.
Yep.
I don't think any of the locals have noticed that. We all know how to navigate it, as we all know the state's not for Kelly Square.
Just a couple comments on the benches. I would definitely plan to have them away from Monterey, so that they're, because I anticipate with the new rotary, there's going to be a little bit of confusion, and it's sad to say that in World War II, a military truck jumped the common and killed some kids sitting on the bench. So I think the benches have to be considered to be away from traffic. The other thing, on the trees, I would want to be sure that whatever was planted there was number 1, salt tolerant, and number 2, a native tree. So that we could, but I don't know about miniature, but I do know that we have sugar maples in our own yard. They're not truly, they're native to the United States, but not truly to this area, but they get huge.
They
Very
can
big.
get
And I can tell you, I'm always picking up sticks and branches. So from a maintenance point of view, I'm not sure that that's the best choice. The red maple is native to this area. We have those too. We get far from the branches.
Yes, sir.
I know.
That's a great question. Right, and I think that. So that really is part of this next phase of design that DOT is going to be going through. They will have preliminary locations for the signs. I'm sure that everybody's driven through a roundabout here locally. The level of signage that you see there is likely the level of signage that you may see here. There are some standard MUTCD signs that are required by MassDOT and by the federal government from FHWA. But I think how those are integrated into the design, we've got the ability to have that discussion with DOT as they're going through the design to make sure that they realize what the concerns of the town are in terms of the aesthetic and how important it is at this town center not to have a lot of visual clutter of signs that are there. Yes, miss.
I just want to reiterate again about the light. It seems like there's a lot of light setting that you go in and think it's very wavy and white, and there's a lot of light. So cumulatively, we'd like it to feel still old fashioned, and I know LED light is so bright, so if there's anything we could do to make it feel warm, that would be a good thing.
Absolutely, and that's part of working with DOT. What we've shown is kind of our anticipation of what the maximum number of lights could be to help gauge people's understanding and reaction to it. I'm sure that they're probably going to be far less than what we're showing.
And the other thing is, I know that oftentimes lights are available for putting the small cell antennas on them, and we've worked really hard in this town to update our bylaw, and we're concerned about them being too close where people live and go to school and work, so we're hoping that they don't end up being here. So if you put in lights that they couldn't go on, that would be fine.
Well, I don't know if they can go on it, but the select board has chosen a light that's got a long history that is just a lamp post and illuminator. And I don't believe the one that was selected has Wi-Fi capabilities. So, yes.
I've heard a lot of feedback from people in the town. A lot of people seem to, if we're going to redo the common, I've heard a lot, they like some type of gazebo or covered seating.
Okay.
And we are in New England, we have weather.
Yep.
The benches are relatively useless in the glaring sun or the snow. But, you know, when you look at Grafton, Millbury, some of the places with the gazebo, I've had a lot of positive feedback and questions that we have somewhere on our common.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to make a point that when you're placing it, when you're putting things around, be sure to leave plenty of open space, because Heritage Day at the end of September, early October is always a big deal with a lot of vendors, people coming and going. So they would need, to consider where can we get as many spaces as we have now.
Absolutely.
So when you say Heritage Day, is it doesn't take place in the commons?
There is a vendor fair in the common, there's sometimes music and other entertainment there, and then at the VFW, there's a couple things going on. I'm not sure if they use the space like library anymore, because they use
We're considering using it this year, but United Parish is used as well, front lawn, as well as the interior.
So there's a lot of people walking, but also you've got to have space for the vendors.
Yep.
And you can check with the Historical Society, they sponsor the vendor fair, and they can tell you how many spaces they have now.
Okay, that's great. That's good information and helpful information for us. Yes, sir.
So the modifications for removal of any buildings in that roundabout area, or is everything stayed?
No. Yeah, I don't believe there's any effect on the existing buildings that are there. Or, to my knowledge, at least, you can come up and take a look to see what they're showing. I really don't believe there's been any impacts to any of the existing structures that are there. Yes, ma'am.
In signage, and I was in the downtown study committee several years ago, and something we brought up too about slowing the traffic down. And the roundabout at that time was still kind of up in the air, but we suggested just before the pizza place, because you come around the corner there, and you need a sign ahead of that, like slow down. It could be slow down rotary, but there really needs to be something ahead of me around that corner.
Absolutely, and that will be part of the signage plan for the roundabout. In terms of it's called advanced warning signage. So there's statutory requirements about where they should be, but they're also modified based on the current conditions of the operation of the existing roadway system.
So you mentioned you use this for Heritage Day, which is really exciting.
We also use it, we have a large ceremony for Memorial Day.
For Memorial Day, are there other events beyond those two that you, at this time, use the space? Or are there other events that you would like to have in the space? These things would really help us sort of investigate these design ideas and think about which layout would best serve the way you use it now and how you might want to use it in the future. And we all agree, I think, that we want this to feel safe and appropriate with regards to the roundabout, and that's like a default, that we all agree to. But how, once you get into the commons, what could be better? Beyond where we place the memorials, how
it's hard to use for a lot of space here. The idea of the fencing around it, at least some form, we all like traffic. It's as easy as possible. You have some sort of physical barrier that you're only escaping through these 5 exits. You all go where possible. It's better for you. Handicap accessible. Right now, it's not. There's nothing around about it. This road, they are not used to it.
I know they're mandated by DOT to be accessible. So there won't be like a step up on North Main. You know, you'll have curb ramps that have tactile warning strips at all of the crosswalks, wherever they may be. But those are a default given that the improvements that are part of the project will be accessible.
So just to step in real quick, this question. I got if anybody on the Teams meeting has any questions or comments at this time, let yourself be heard. If not, I'll be closing the Teams portion of the meeting, and then we'll continue our conversation. David, you waving by, or do you have a question?
Please wait. Thank you so much for hanging on with us for the 45 minutes, and we look forward to any comments you may have.
And the presentation is.
Let's wait for 5. Thanks very much.
Thanks, David. The presentation is on the website.
Okay, great. Yes.
A lot of us have been to projects like this, and we've seen them because they hire consultants. They think that they have to do something big, and they overplan the place. And next year, everything's dead in there. I think more might not be good here. Maybe we can pick the right plan for the time or something. Put a maple out there, and it's going to go straight up the air. And so if you consider that, I don't. Maybe somebody else has an opinion, but I don't think we want a lot of trees out on that farm. I don't think it would look good because it's so small, and you want to.
I have to agree. I think they're ready right now. The other useful ones, you do have gatherings. For example, we have acres and acres of state forest. We're not shy of trees in town. We have more trees than we have.
And some people, some towns have like their band concerts on the farm. And in the summer, this town has them on speech, which is actually a safe promotion.
Probably quieter. How many families?
I don't know if there's electricity, but there is.
So the one thing that I would like some feedback on is, on either side here, we've got kind of 2 different versions. One that has the memorials kind of pushed back in, one that has the memorials kind of pushed back out. Is there a preference either way? Okay, so what I want you to do, what I want everybody to do is I've got sticky notes, okay? And all I want you to do is take a sticky note and put it on the window. I mean, it's that easy. You don't have to do anything. Yep.
Back part, you mean by the laser blade?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's wider there too. You'd think it should be maybe the more active space, but it's further from all
So I've got sticky notes. You don't need pens. Just put it on the one you like. And I do have pens if you have comments.
So it's just like this under.
We'll have to pass these around.
They should just say, like, the memorials about what is free space, because then you have double the
Go ahead. This is your opportunity. So why don't we do this?
minutes and then we'll probably wrap up.
And this was the main downtown Exactly,
Right, so if you put them in a better place,